Thank you. It's always humbling to encounter the absolute clarity of my colleague Roger's mind. By way of contrast, I am proposing Over the Rainbow, Fantasyland. And explicitly asked the custodians to raise the level of heat in the president's room so that your hallucinations would prepare you my description of the course. It's wonderful to see you together here, and I really look forward to seeing you together again in the spring and then in the summer. And I just want to say, before I launch into my presentation, that I thought yesterday was really a great day, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I'd like to start with a pop quiz. And right, I see that silenced the room very quickly, but I have a pretty high level of confidence that you're prepared for this pop quiz. You've been preparing for it for decades. And I'm just going to say a line with a blank space in the line, and then if you'd oblige me by shouting out the missing word. I'll get you, my pretty, and your little blank too. Pay no attention to the man behind the... No, Toto, this doesn't look anything like... Yes. All right, 100%. I'm going to be talking, and we're going to be talking in the seminar about myths, which are public dreams. Those extraordinary stories which live in memory, not just in one of us, but in all of us, so that we're able, I could say, 5 of us could reconstruct the screenplay for MGM's Wizard of Oz, pretty much down to the scene and to the word. And I think similar assertions might be made about J.M. Barrie's Peter Pan as adapted in various forms, especially the musical version and the Disney movie. And certainly A Midsummer Night's Dream exists in our imaginations, and we're able to cite it and reimagine its characters and the like. And I want to use those 3 principal texts as our touchstones. But we'll begin with a kind of calisthenic, a warm-up with a chapter from Swift's Gulliver's Travel on Lilliputian. We'll read Xanadu, or Kubla Khan, as Samuel Taylor Coleridge called it. Xanadu is how I remember it, because it's the place that has the magic. In Xanadu did Kubla Khan a stately pleasure dome decree, where Alph, the sacred river, ran through caverns measureless to man, down to the sunless sea. I was hoping to get a choric response. Made it there. We'll talk about these magical places that have special properties, the first and foremost of which, to which we will return again and again, is their impossibility. They exist in the realm, in the grammatical realm, if you will, of the subjunctive, in the place of language which is conditioned contrary to fact, when you inflect the verb by changing its number to indicate a certain feeling toward the reference, even before the semantic message has arrived in your listener, you can inflect the verb and tell your listener how you feel about it. So the subjunctive is increasingly weak in English. It's pretty much disappearing. But even popular jingles, at least in my living memory, have gotten it right. I wish I were an Oscar Mayer wiener. That is what I'd really like to be. Because if I were an Oscar Mayer, everyone would fall in love with me. Condition contrary to fact. And this is to be distinguished from utopia, which we'll also talk about as a constant referent, as a way of putting pressure on the idea of Fantasyland, because utopias were places that people actually thought might have been realizable, might have been visited. They exist more in the realm of the indicative and the imperative, although in part in the realm of the subjunctive too, which gives them part of their magic. What I'd really like to accomplish in the seminar is to come to a shared sense that these stories exist not in fixed forms that must be repeated exactly with the same emphasis, with the same interpretations from person to person and from generation to generation. I believe these are stories that you can take back and make your own. And so we'll be looking at adaptations of each of the three locales being Oz, Never Never Land, and a wood near Athens. And in Oz, of course, there are multiple adaptations. Even L. Frank Baum, in his own lifetime, churned out a series of novels. It isn't just one, it's multiple novels, and they became very popular. He was actually trained as a window dresser for a department store, and that interest seems to endure in his work. But we'll be able to go fairly deep into this as a research project. I'll be utilizing the work of a student here, now graduated with her doctorate and now a full professor of women's and gender studies and African American studies at Harvard University, Robert Bernstein, and her book Racial Innocence. And we'll have a chance to use her proposal to the Norton Company for a critical edition of The Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. And her categories are really revealing and to me very exciting as research areas. Just laying it out for the critical part of her edition, its historical context, including race, the frontier, and American expansion, technology, urban and rural America, consumer culture, changes in childhood and children's literature, Baum's other writings, including his racist tracts, very disturbing materials, in his other writings outside of the Oz series, and to some degree in the Oz series. The reimaginings of Oz, of course, these adaptations will be ours to study, and the criticism. In the musical Wicked, you have a very interesting reappropriation of the Oz materials that have appealed especially to young women negotiating their sexual identities. They're heterosexual, and their same-sex desires within the space of this musical. It's a remarkable phenomenon that will use the work of Stacy Wolf, a Yale alumna, now a professor at Princeton University, on reception of Wicked. And of course, in Peter Pan, if I said, as continuing my pop quiz, all it takes is a wish and a pinch of pixie dust, yes. It is available readily in so many versions. But we'll look at the recent, just last April, Children's Theater of Minneapolis adaptation of Peter Pan, which in consultation with Native Americans and with Native Americans in the cast, rewrote the parts of that musical that could very well offend and do offend, and recontextualized it and took the story back in a certain way to repossess it for a time now, a time for children in today's world. And then A Midsummer Night's Dream, of course, the play that as a director I have always wanted to stage and never had the chance. So this will be my chance to share it with you as best I can without the stage, although I think we'll probably find some ways to get it up and put it on its feet because it's irresistible as such a vehicle. Thanks so much, and I look forward to seeing you soon.